I love America Reports. America's crime crisis is worrying, but don't take my word for it. I'm not a judge. Judge Judy is. TV's Judge Judy Scheinlin says she's very aware of the chaos unfolding on streets across America and also knows exactly how we got there. Watch this.
Oh, I know how we got here. We got here because a small group of people who had very loud voices created a scenario where bad people got rewarded and the victim got punished by the system. You know, there is always a reason for criminal behavior. You're mentally ill, that's a reason. You took drugs, that's a reason. You took alcohol, your brain is fried. Whatever it is, there's a reason. There is never, excuse me, I get excited. There is never an excuse for bad behavior. And when society started to make excuses for bad behavior and react to criminality based upon the excuses, it fell apart.
So obviously, Emily, as a judge, as a jurist, she has a different perspective. Why are lawyers and judges so able to see what has gone wrong and DAs and politicians are not?
Well, respectfully, I think her view was actually sort of irrespective of her role as a member of the jurisprudence machine here, irrespective of her role as a judge. Man, that was just common sense. Yeah. That was pure common sense. And I think what we have seen is the result of a vocal minority and people in decision-making capacities who have made horrible decisions on behalf of the so-called victims that they created, to her point about excusing bad behavior. Oh, this actually violent theft? No, it's just because they're poor. You know, people who subscribe or ascribe certain labels excusing felonious, violent, unacceptable societal behavior, and then installed people who abdicated their duty. So instead of a district attorney actually prosecuting, instead you have an activist in that role who utterly fails at their job. And because of it, there has been an epidemic of people who have lost their lives in this country and who have lost their livelihoods, and both of those are inexcusable.
They are inexcusable, and you can feel the difference. You can feel the shift. It used to be the golden axioms of liberty: don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. Why does that no longer apply?
I don't know, but I just, Judge Judy and Judge Janine are saying the same thing, so something must be really true here. Again, I think you've changed, she's right, you changed the narrative that something's wrong with the defendant, something's wrong with the perpetrator, and so let's try to fix them, as opposed to going, you did something wrong, we're going to hold you to account. I was an elected DA for 8 years. You have a very close relationship with your community, with your public, because it's your job to keep them safe. And something weird has happened within the voting population of these cities that are electing woke prosecutors who aren't enforcing the law, and the results are catastrophic. I hope that there's a realignment, a rethinking of the voting base to go, we want actually people that will enforce our laws, put bad people behind bars, and keep us safe. Hopefully that change is coming.
I mean, is there a way of doing it before we reach the point of no return? That's what worries me, is that these cities get so bad you won't be able to bring them back. They talk about that in San Francisco, but we have to be optimistic. We have to be forward-looking. So what can we do? What can be done?
Well, look, the headwind of illegal immigration at our border is going to be tough, because you've got so many more illegal drugs on the streets today. And it's not just fentanyl. I mean, fentanyl moving around allows other things to move too. They're using it as an additive, so on and so forth. So you have more deaths from drug overdoses and the such. So that's a headwind against the system of going, and I'm always an optimist about this, but I'm also a realist. You've got to deal with your immigration issues now, because these cities are being infiltrated, if you will, by people who will continue to exploit your soft on crime policies. It's their way of living. You know, you hear about the Venezuelan prison gang who came here when the prisoners emptied out and came here. We didn't stop them. They're gotaways. They're in our cities now. That puts pressure on the system. So, Kennedy, like you, I want to have hope that our cities can turn around, but hope isn't strategy. We got to strategize our way out of this.
Yeah, it's certainly not enough. Maybe Judge Judy should be the one running for president.
Yeah, that hat,
listen,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and she looked good in that hat. She was like in vacay mode, but like speaking a lot of truth. And what she's absolutely right. And it's refreshing to hear somebody like her say it, and say it with such force and such conviction. And what she's talking about is that this is an ideology where progressive Democrats like Cori Bush believe that criminals are victims of a racist America, which is not true, but there's all of these policies as a result of that thinking. Broken windows policing is now a dirty word, but it worked. And now that it's gone, there are smash and grab robberies, and everything in every single Duane Reade in cities across the country, and CVS is now locked up as a result. People are losing their jobs because these stores are closing as well.
Smashing
It's a
and
vicious
grabbing
cycle.
those broken windows.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.